All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to my channel. Welcome to another video. In continuing forward with the momentum of the past 9 episodes, we're going to persevere, persevere, and move on to step 10, which, unironically, the principle behind which is perseverance. So, step 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Or, in the first person past tense, continue to take personal inventory, and when I was wrong, promptly admitted it. Or, in the first person present tense, continue to take personal inventory, and when I am wrong, promptly admit it. Principle behind which is perseverance. So, in this step, we're continuing forward and applying the principles behind the other steps in our daily lives. We are, or I am, or I was, regardless, the point of this step is to continue to watch out for our own thoughts, emotions, actions, speech, and when we are not in alignment with the character that we are attempting to be, whether you're attempting to emulate Christ, whether you're attempting to just be who you truly are, which is ultimately that Christ character, that selfless self, the true self, it doesn't matter. We are looking at ourselves from a scope of keeping an inventory of our stock and recognizing in the moment when we are not in alignment with who we are trying to be and who we actually are. So that way, in the moment, when we see the mistake happening, we can correct it right there in the moment so it doesn't become some sort of karmic debt later on down the road, or especially that way it doesn't fester, right? Because if we don't get a hold of our mistakes in the moment and we don't correct them, some of them carry with them very drastic consequences. Let's say we say something that that triggers somebody. Now, at the end of the day, everybody's responsible for their own emotions and their own thoughts and everything, and I wouldn't ever apologize for speaking the truth, but there is a loving way to speak the truth, and there's a hateful way to speak the truth. Right? The loving way to speak the truth is going to be considerate of the other person's feelings, and there's a hateful way to speak the truth, which is not in alignment with consideration for other people and their feelings and their thoughts and their actions. So we're looking out for how we're treating others. We're looking out for how we're treating ourselves. We're looking out for the things that we're doing, the damages that we're causing throughout the day, and ultimately trying to, in the moment, reconcile those things so that way it doesn't become something that festers and builds up emotional tension, physical tension, that ends up causing disease and sickness and even more hurt feelings later on down the road. A principle that I missed for a long time, and a lot of people seem to miss in modernity, is that if someone is going through emotional turmoil, if they're going through physical, mental stress, and they don't take care of it, they don't actually clear things up and get back into clarity, then ultimately they end up causing more damage to themselves and to others. Most of the time, they end up saying something or doing something to somebody else that causes that other person to lash back at them or not talk to them at all, which creates more hurt feelings, which then leads to more tension, which then causes more lashing out, which then leads to more tension coming back, right? What we put out, we get back. most of the time. Some people are just going to be bitter towards you. Consider that your test and see if you pass. If you fail the test, then take an accurate assessment of why you failed, where you failed at, and correct accordingly. And that's kind of the principle of this step. We're taking the other principles that we've learned about in the previous 9 steps, that honesty, integrity, that willingness, that hope, faith, the courage, and we're applying those things in our daily lives. So when we're wrong, with honesty and courage and integrity and our that love for our brother, we're admitting our mistakes, right? So that way, again, we can stay in freedom, we can stay free of any sort of debt that we might incur by doing things. Now, at the same time, it's important to understand that just because we admit that we're wrong doesn't mean everyone's going to let it go. Again, like personal responsibility and accountability. What the other person is doing or saying or thinking or feeling is ultimately their responsibility too. But if you play a part in things, it's best to admit that and try and clear things up. Clear it from your own mind, if anything. Because otherwise, again, it's going to fester and it's going to build. It's going to increase, and it's going to increase in the way that it affects you and your thoughts, emotions, and actions. All right, and we're trying to keep our heart clear of the darkness, so that way we speak light and life into the world, rather than darkness and death and duality. So, perseverance, right? Continue forward. Continue onward with this march, and like the 9th step promises say, if you continue to do this, if you're painstaking about this phase of your development, you'll be amazed before you're halfway through. And so in step 9, we're kind of making those amends, and you don't have to get it all done before you move on to step 10, because some people's list of those that they've harmed is miles long, and I've been there. Took me a long time to clear up a lot of that, and some of those people I built back up harms, because I lashed out against them, and I tore structures down upon myself that I had built up over years, and literally overnight done it, and so it's a testament to how quickly one can tear apart their life by not being in alignment with who they truly are, by not being in alignment with their true self, by not being in alignment with really their selfless self, which is the true self. So it's it really is rewarding in the end if you do these things thoroughly. Please ignore the meowing cat in the background. Anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying this series, and I hope to see you all more. Peace.